Hello, Daphne here with a very interesting video for you, which we're going to talk about all the interesting New Year's traditions from around the world. And there are some crazy ones. But first, I'd like to invite you to join my Facebook group, Second Half Travel Adventures. And also, if you like the content that we provide, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, Daphne Dunlap channel. Thank you. How about some very unusual and some amusing traditions to ring in the new year? Some unique celebrations will commence just before and just after the clock strikes midnight, just a few days from now. Wow, some of these traditions will leave you scratching your head and asking the question, who in the world thought this up? How about Ecuador? This is a hoot. Citizens take to the streets with scarecrows, created to look like popular politicians and cultural icons. Apparently at midnight, these scarecrows are set ablaze and burned to a crisp, which is meant to remove anything evil from happening in the New Year's. Good luck on that one. This is a truly amazing one, originating just 25 years ago, and it became a Russian holiday tradition, if you can believe it. Father Frost and the Ice Maiden, two scuba divers, submerged themselves into the solidly frozen Lake Baikal, the world's largest freshwater lake in Russia. With them is a New Year's tree, usually a decorated spruce. They carry this tree approximately 100 feet below the surface of the lake and leave it there. Would you believe that people from all over the world come to Russia to, participate in this New Year's tradition? Well, to each his own, right? Brr! Sounds awful cold to me. Let's say you'd like to be a Greek person on New Year's Day. Okay, then you better set off for the grocery store, because hanging onions outside your door is a tradition that is important because it promotes rebirth and growth in the coming year. In Denmark, wow, this is really a wild one. When the clock strikes midnight, people climb on top of chairs. And I like the symbolism with this one. Once they're on top of the chairs and the clock strikes midnight and the new year begins, they jump off the chair. In other words, they jump into the new year, which is supposedly going to bring them very good fortune in the coming year. Okay, let's go on. How about the unusual tradition coming to us from Italy? Apparently, Italians believe the color red is directly associated with fertility. Therefore, their people wear red underwear in hopes that in the coming year they will conceive a little one. Don't be surprised if you happen to be in Brazil for New Year's and see lots of things floating in the water. The country of Brazil has a custom which will take you to the shoreline on New Year's Eve. It is there they light candles and then toss them, along with an abundance of beautiful white flowers, into the ocean. A traditional gift for Yemoja, a major deity known as the Queen of the Ocean. And I'm quite sure I pronounced that deity's name wrong. Yemoja. Jemoa. I don't know. You take a stab at it. This is an interesting tradition which began way back when in the 19th century, born out of the necessity to create more sales at the end of the year. Grape growers in Spain came up with the idea to sell more grapes at year's end. they began the tradition of asking the local people to eat exactly 12 grapes, one for each of the bell strikes right after midnight. This ritual stuck. It continues to this day, bringing prosperity and good luck to the people of Spain each and every year. Wow, this is really an unusual way to bring in the new year if you ask me. In Chile, the goal is to be with loved ones. This is really going to get you that have passed on. New Year's Eve Mass is not celebrated in church, but in cemeteries. The faithful gather there to be with their long-departed loved ones, family members, and friends as a way of including them in their New Year's celebrations. Well, that's a very thoughtful gesture, if you ask me, but a very unusual one, celebrating New Year's in a graveyard. Have any dishes you no longer want? The Danish people have what is really a wild and very noisy tradition. Here is their New Year's Eve plan. Gather your plates or old dishes, then visit your neighbors or friends, and by their front door, smash all these plates and dishes into smithereens. The more broken plates outside the door, the better. The Danes believe this is a way of leaving any ill will behind in the coming year. Well, that's a nice thought. But I can imagine it must be a mess trying to pick up all those pieces of broken pottery and china. Now listen to this one. Single gals in Ireland get a load of this tradition. Sleeping with mistletoe under your pillow is a custom that supposedly helps find a husband in the new year. If not in reality, perhaps you'll find the husband of your dreams in your dreams. In the country of Turkey, the population there brings in good luck in an unusual way. As soon as the clock strikes midnight, they sprinkle salt on their doorstep, which is a tradition to support both peace and prosperity in the new year. For those of you with a big, and I mean big, appetite, you should head for Estonia for New Year's Eve celebrations. Perhaps breakfast, lunch, and dinner are not enough to satisfy you. Therefore, in this country, they believe eating 7, 9, or 12 meals will bring good fortune in the coming year. After all, in that country, the numbers 7, 9, and 12 are considered to be very lucky. So that's a lot of meals to eat, so bring your appetite to Estonia on New Year's Eve. Last but not least, how about this tradition from the Buddhist temples in Japan? Before the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, Buddhist temples ring their bells 107 times. And just once when the clock strikes midnight. The tradition is meant to dismiss from each person 108 evil desires, as well as to remove any past sins from the year before. Well, that is certainly an interesting way to symbolize cleansing yourself, wouldn't you say? So there you have it. Some absolutely remarkably creative ways to bring in the new year. A panoply of New Year's traditions that have been developed by these different countries over many, many years, and in some cases centuries. I think that these are amazing and interesting traditions to learn about. And before I did research for this video, I had no idea about a single one of them. Have you ever heard of these traditions? Or perhaps do you have an interesting tradition of your own to bring in the new year and to make your 2022. A very, very special year. Oh gosh, I know it's going to be great. It's going to be better than 2021 because hopefully, slowly but surely, we'll get over all the restrictions that have kept us from traveling this year and be off into the wide blue yonder when the new year starts. Happy New Year, everyone!